We make mistake, but here is the thing: mistakes don't make us. When we think about our mistake or even the mistake of others, it is better to focus on what we did or what we didn't do instead of turning it into who we are. One of the biggest mistakes we make is confusing our behavior with our identity. Because the moment you say, because I did this, this is who I am, you trap yourself. Your actions are what you did, they are not who you are. Mistakes are events, not your identity. So instead of labeling yourself, learn to describe your action. You say, I fail, not I am a failure. Because I failed means you can improve, but I'm a failure kills your confidence and limits your future. Because if you believe you can't improve, you have labeled yourself as a failure. So learn how to use the difference between a verb, which is the action, and noun. Think about a child learning how to walk. Every child fails, every child stumbles. When that happens, we say he fall or he stumbled. We don't say he's a faller or he's a stumbler. Why? Because deep down, you understand that falling down is part of the process, not the identity of the child. And the same thing is applicable to you when you fail an exam. Because you fail, you can't call it a failure. Because failing an exam means that you fail this and you can correct it. But because you fail a failure, it means you are trying to describe your identity. So you fail means that you can still go back, study very well, and pass the exam. But that doesn't mean that you are a failure, because that's not who you are, right? No, that's why I said your actions are what you did, not your identity. If you look at the story of a child I give to you, it's normal for a child learning how to walk, falling and stumbling. That doesn't mean that the identity of a child, because we don't say this child, this is who the child is because he's falling. It's not a faller, it's not a stumbler. So it means that the falling is part of the process for child to be able to walk very well. So that's an action, not who the child is. And listen, one wrong decision, one mistake, one wrong step should not become your permanent name. We make mistakes, but mistakes don't make us. Learn from what you did, correct your action, but never reduce yourself to a label, because who we are is always greater than what we did. You started a business or even a trading and it didn't work. That doesn't mean you are not business minded. And if you try something and it doesn't work out, you have an experience, not who you are, not your label. Your actions are something you did, not who you are. Mistakes are about action, not your identity. The moment you said, because I did this, this is who I am, you already confuse your behavior with your identity. For example, when somebody say I failed, it means that they fail at something which can be corrected. Maybe they failed at exam, they did something terrible which they are regretting, but they can still correct themselves, change and improve there. But when somebody said they are a failure, wow, that is another thing entirely, because that's the now, they are not talking about the action now. They have labeled themselves that their entire life is a failure, and that's not true, because something you did is the action, and actions can be corrected. But the moment you turn that into a label, you confuse yourself. So always remember that we make mistakes, and mistakes don't make us.